Hey, it's Cobra here at MaddenGuides.com, and for this video breakdown, we're going to take a look at 5 blitz setups out of $32 mug that are pretty simple to set up without having to make a lot of adjustments. All right, the very first defense that we want to show as far as bringing pressure on the quarterback from the $32 mug is called DB Fire 2. Now, this particular defense, without really making any pre-snap adjustments, generally you're looking to get pressure coming from one of these defensive backs that are lined up to the inside here. Now, I can't guarantee they're always going to get in. Sometimes you're going to get getting blocked by the tackles on the outside. Right there, as you can see, we got blocked right there. So to make sure that they don't get blocked, and if you're having issues with that, really all you got to do is just take control of one of these inside linebackers. For example, here I'm going to take control of the linebackers you're looking at your screen, the left inside linebacker, which is actually the real linebacker. But at any rate, I'm going to take control of him. The idea of this is I'm going to go ahead and hot route him to blitz. And then what this should do is it should force this guy right here. Let's move him back a little bit. It should force this guy right here, which is going to be the left guard, to look to block me, therefore allowing me to get this pressure off the edge coming from this defensive back there. The same thing could be said here. We could take control of this guy right here, hot route him to blitz, and then what we would hopefully happen is that we would get pressure coming from this guy. Now, of course, one of the things you have to do is, because of this, you're going to have to drop that guy back into coverage, and as you can see, there's nobody actually at this point covering either one of those two players over here for the Packers over here on the left. At least they're not over them, so that could lead to some problems for a quick pass. But anyway, that's how you would do it. And then once you go ahead and go to the inside here, you just drop back, and then you just try to take away some routes going over the middle, whatever, right there. So that's the easiest way to set this one up. That's going to allow you to get some pressure on the quarterback without really not having to do anything. You just hot route one guy, slide him in just a little bit, and then you're just hoping you can get in there at some point with that. All right, so that's the easiest way to set up. Now, another way I want to show you here is one that I've been running here with this one. I've been practicing within the lab and throwing out a couple times online. So what you're going to do is you're going to take control of this guy right here, which is going to be the nose tackle, and you want to put him into a 3 receiver hook. He has to be in the 3 receiver hook for this one to work. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take control of this guy right here, which is going to be this will linebacker, the one that we were in control of earlier, and you're going to hot route him to blitz. And then what you want to do is you want to simply take control of another defender. In this case, I'm going to take control of that defensive back that's supposed to be blitzing off the left as you look at your screen right there. Watch what happens with this one when I run this play. And then you're just going to drop back and drop him back into coverage, that defensive back, the one I just took control of. So again, let's run this one more time. So what you're going to do is, again, you're going to take control of this guy right here, which is nose tackle. You're going to go ahead and put him into a 3 receiver hook. Take control of the will linebacker, which is the linebacker in between the left guard and left tackle. Hot route him to blitz, and then simply just take control of this guy right here. And then once the ball snaps, you're going to let him take a couple steps up, and then you're going to drop him back into coverage. So here we go again, the same thing. And if everything works right, you're going to get that inside heat coming from that linebacker who's going to be shooting through the B gap and applies that pressure on the quarterback. So this one's called $32 mug DB Fire 2. A couple different ways that you can get some pressure, really not have to make a lot of adjustments. The $32 mug DT Mike Luke 0 is another one of those defenses that you're going to bring some pressure on the quarterback from this formation, quite simply because you're going to overwhelm the offensive line if they only got 5 offensive linemen blocking. They don't have a 6-man pass protection scheme. So generally the pressure from this one, without making any pre-snap adjustments, is going to come from this defensive back. Now, on occasion, he may get blocked by the left tackle as you look at this. So let's go ahead and run this and see if he gets blocked. He doesn't get blocked, but he does get in. And that's really without making any adjustments. Of course, you can call press coverage and all that. Let's go ahead and run it one more time here just so you guys can see it. But like I said, on occasion, he may get blocked. But if you really want to enhance this one to make it even more effective, where he can get B-gap pressure, then all you want to do is call QB contain, such as what I'm showing here on your screen. Let me show you that right there. We're going to run it here, and then he's going to get that B-gap pressure. That's just simply by doing QB contain right there. One more time here. Just call QB contain, and then he's going to end up coming through that B-gap and getting that pressure on the quarterback. Now, if you want to make one more adjustment to even make it even more effective, then what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and call show blitz. Now you're going to notice that's going to back those linebackers off about 2 more yards off, so they're about 3 yards off the line of scrimmage. And then you want to call QB contain, and now watch what happens. This is going to come from one of those inside linebackers, specifically the will one. Will shoot through that A gap, such as you see on your screen right there. So there's a couple ways of running this one, and like I said, you can run it a few different ways. Don't do any adjustments at all. You can do it what I just showed in the second adjustment, where you just call QB contain, which I just showed there. That'd be the second one I showed, where we end up getting that B gap pressure from that dime back there. Or you can do this one and add one extra element to it and show blitz, and then you're going to end up getting pressure coming from this guy, who's going to end up shooting through this A gap and applying the pressure. So all these ones work pretty nice as far as bringing pressure on the quarterback. This is probably the favorite one right here that I have right there, just because he shoots through the A gap. The $32 mug overload 3 seam is another defense you can bring pressure from this particular formation. Now this one's going to get some B gap pressure pretty consistently from this guy right here, which is his defensive back. Now, one thing about this one is you really don't have to make any adjustments at all if you don't want to. He's going to shoot through that B gap, and he's going to apply the pressure, such as what you see on your screen right there. Now, the one thing you can do to enhance this just a little bit is to go ahead and call QB contain, such as you see on your screen right there. Now watch, the same thing's going to happen here. We're still going to get this A gap pressure. Do you notice that you get a bigger gap to blitz through? And a lot of the blitzes, by doing this QB contain, especially out of this particular formation, really helps make these gaps a little bit wider, where you can get some pressure on the quarterback pretty consistently. Now, one other thing you can do with this one, if you want to add one more step to it, if you got time to do it, you could go ahead, and this guy right here, the one I'm in control of right now, let me show it to you right now, which is going to be this end over here. What you can do with him is you can put him in some other type of coverage. Now, one of the things you might consider doing with him is to put him maybe into a flat route. So let's go ahead and put him into a flat route out here towards the left, especially if you're up against a bunch formation. They're running the bunch to that side, and you want to have an extra defender going over there. This isn't going to affect the blitz at all. So watch what happens here with this one. You're still going to get that same B gap pressure. So that's just another way of running this particular defense and allow you to get that pressure. So again, this one's called $32 mug overload 3 seam. If you made it this far, hit the like button, subscribe, and get notified for our latest Madden Guide YouTube video breakdowns. This next defense I want to show out of the $32 mug is called Overload Blitz. Now this one we're going to have some fun with, and I'm going to show you a lot of things you can do with this one, and hopefully you guys will take some notes on this one, because this is some stuff that I think you guys will enjoy. So let's run through this one and kind of show you a lot of things you can do with this particular defense. So right off the bat, you know, the theme here is to try to show you guys blitzes where it doesn't require any type of pre-snap adjustments. This is a good example of that. So with this particular defense, this guy right here is the one that's going to shoot through this through this B gap in between the left guard and left tackle and apply the pressure on the quarterback. Now you also got another defender that's blitzing, which is going to be this safety right here, and he's either going to come through the outside and loop around, or he may come to the inside through this B gap and apply the pressure. Now that's not always going to be the case. Sometimes he'll get blocked, but for now I want to run this without making any other adjustments, and you can see clearly we end up getting that I actually got blocked right there, but generally that defensive back will shoot through. Let's go ahead and do the same thing again and not make any adjustments. I am going to show you something that's going to guarantee you to get that pressure pretty consistently from that guy. There he goes. He goes through that time. So without making any adjustments, that's what generally ends up happening. You end up getting that pressure. One thing you can do right off the bat to make sure that you're going to get the pressure is to call QB contain. Now, I've been showing this in a couple of the other breakdowns here with this $32 mug that I've been showing here that allows you to get a wider gap. Now watch, you get a wider gap, he comes through, shoots through, and you get the pressure on the quarterback. So if you want to make sure you get that pressure, just simply hit QB contain and you're going to get that, such as what you see on your screen right there. Now, the other thing I want to kind of go off a little bit here is we're going to go a little bit more in detail of some of the things else you can do with this particular defense. So what I want to do right off the bat here is this guy, which is going to be the safety that's been blitzing from up here, he's pretty much useless because I said by the time he gets to the quarterback, your opponent's probably going to get rid of the ball. So one of the things you can do is you can switch off to him and take control of him. So let's go ahead and take control of him as you look at it. And what you're going to do here is you're going to put him into say you want to put him into an inside third. So there you go. So now we're in cover one. You can switch off to another defender, such as this guy right here, which is this linebacker. It's supposed to be blitzing to the A gap. And then you can get that and get that same type of pressure right there. So you still get the pressure, but instead of being a cover zero defense, now you got a cover one, because now you got that safety dropping back over the deep middle. All right, so that's one thing you can do with that. The next thing you can do, obviously, is you can take control of that safety, and if you wanted to, you don't even have to blitz them. You just take control of them and basically just user them, take away anything you want. For example, say you take control of them right here, and you're just going to basically take away some of these pass routes over here, You maybe want to drop over here. You guys can decide on what you want to do with this guy. So that's the nice thing about that. Now, something else you can do that's going to make this even nicer. I'm going to go ahead and take control of him again and put him into that deep third right there I just showed earlier. This time I'm going to switch off to this guy right here. Now, what you can do with him, if you want, say you want to put him into a curl flat. All right, you can do that with him and then switch back over to this linebacker. Make sure you call QB contain though. That's the other thing you got to make sure you do, because you want to get that big old gap there for that defensive back to shoot through. And if you look at that, we end up having a 4-man pass rush. So now we went from a cover zero defense with a 6-man pass rush to basically, as you look at your screen here, what we're really doing now is just rushing these guys right here. Essentially is what we're doing. And then we're going to get that same type of pressure. We get a 4-man pass rush. So again, I'm going to show it to you guys one more time. Make sure you do QB contain. That's pretty important. Now, if you want to call press coverage and do some other stuff, that's up to you. I'm not going to do that. I'm just trying to show you the basics of it. And then when you get over here, you can also put this guy, say you want to put him into a bluff blitz. Let's put him into a bluff blitz this time rather than the curl flat. Let's do a bluff blitz. And this time, let's put this guy, maybe we want to cover the deep half to the right. Maybe they got a really good, receiver on the right-hand side there, and we want to make sure that that deep half is covered to that side. You can do something like that. And then you're going to still get that same type of pressure. So I just want to point that out to you. You can do a lot of things with this particular defense that's going to allow you to get in after the quarterback. The $3.2 mug zero blitz is very similar to the $3.2 mug overload blitz. The main difference is in the overload blitz, we actually had the strong safety blitzing rather than having the Sam linebacker blitzing, which is the linebacker over here. So this is the main difference here. There in this particular blitz, what I'm about to show is a zero blitz. You have that linebacker blitzing right there as well, along with the will linebacker. Whereas the overload, it was coming from this guy right here, was the other blitzer. So basically the setup is almost identical, and the same thing as far as who's going to get pressure and what. So with this one, what you're looking for is to get pressure coming off the edge from this guy here without making any pre-snap adjustments. Let's go ahead and run it and see if he gets in there. And right there, he gets to the quarterback. Now what you can do is, much like the overload blitz, you can do kind of the same thing here. You can go ahead and call, call QB contain, such as what I'm showing on your screen. And you're just looking to get that B-gap pressure coming from that defensive back shooting through that gap right there. And the same thing like the other one here. If you want to make it a little bit more enhanced, you can do this, do show blitz, and then do QB contain, and then you're going to get pressure coming from this defender right here, which is this linebacker. The will linebacker will shoot through this gap right here. As you watch, he'll go right through the A gap and apply the pressure on the quarterback. So it's very much the same defenses. The only difference, as I said, versus the overload blitz is that you're just having a different blitzer coming in as well. You're having another blitzer, rather be it be the safety or being the linebacker, depending on which one you call. So these two defenses are pretty much identical. It's just that it just depends on how you want to run it. And here I'm going to show it right here. And here's that A gap again coming from that linebacker. So that's it, guys, as far as these 5 blitz setups that I wanted to show from a $3.2 mug. The one thing I did want to point out with this particular defense, I'm going to show real quick here, just another little tidbit for you guys to remember here. If you decide to try to do a stunt with here, so say you want to do a stunt, you're going to notice that there's no way of making a stunt because there is no stunts for this particular formation, which is unfortunate. You can do all the other stuff that you normally would do, but you just can't stunt with this one, which is, the one thing you cannot do. It's understandable. It is a 3-2 type defense with 3, defensive linemen, but you can't make any stunts with it. So that's unfortunate. But at any rate, that's it right there, guys, as far as with this particular formation, as far as bringing some blitzes on the quarterback without really having to make any pre-snap adjustments or very few pre-snap adjustments. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment for more Madden guides, strategy, and tips content. See you in the next video.